When I was very little, I remember watching my brother play a game called Star Control 2. Now, for me, at the time, the game felt very complex, and I just couldn't process it myself when I tried, but I liked watching it. So when I saw STARFLIGHT while rummaging through the video game databases, it instantly caught my attention due to feeling similar to Star Control. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, I've never played the game, but it looks interesting enough, had very good reception at the time, let's try it out! And holy shit, the game is good! Really good! For 1986, I would even say exceptional. Not perfect though, but rarely anything is. On the surface, STARFLIGHT might seem complex. There's starship management, planet surface exploration, alien diplomacy, space battles, but really the game is very simple to pick up and learn. So straightforward in fact that I'd say it's reasonably possible even without the manual, although I'd still recommend reading it just in case. Partially, that's because there is not that much depth to be found within the systems. Once you figure out some of the trickier things, like how to discern which planets are suitable for colonization, for which the aforementioned manual is very helpful, you'll be going through mostly the same loops over and over again. But STARFLIGHT is a really good example of how our expectations can shape our enjoyment. Because on the surface level, STARFLIGHT looks like an open-world space sandbox RPG. If you're going to approach it like that, it will run out of steam relatively quickly. I mean, in the entire galaxy there's just a single base you can dock with to sell things, so you can't even roleplay a trader. And mechanically, some things are pretty awkward, like for example I think it's a mistake that combat happens in real time, because you have to select actions in a manner that are more fitting to the turn-based approach. So, if you're going to judge STARFLIGHT from that sandboxy perspective, most likely the opinion you will get out of it with is, the game is certainly impressive for its time and the first couple hours are interesting, but then you're not doing anything particularly new and the systems don't really sustain long playthroughs. And I'll be honest, open world sandbox RPG is how I approached STARFLIGHT 2 at first. But that's like if you approach the first Castlevania from the perspective of it being a twitchy, high-octane action platformer. You might expect that, get into the game, but it's not what it is. And STARFLIGHT is not a sandbox do-anything-you-want RPG, and I'm glad I have played it long enough to understand that's the case before dropping it. STARFLIGHT is an adventure game, or RP adventure if you will. It's a game with a central goal. Early on, scientists discover that various suns in the galaxy are flaring and destroying life on local planets, and by the looks of it, this is going to happen in your home system as well. While there is an aspect of figuring out which planets can be colonized so at least somebody could escape certain death, your main goal is to discover why these flares are happening and figure out how to stop them before they destroy your home. And that is a mystery you solve by uncovering the game's lore, which you do by utilizing the systems of exploration, management, diplomacy to follow up on all the various clue strands you keep finding. There's even a captain's log, which is essentially a persistent notepad where you can write down all the information you think you'll need. And I specifically focused on the aspect of lore and not plot or specifics like dialogue writing because that aspect is... this is a game from 1986 that's already massive in scope anyway, it does the best it can. But the lore is really good. It's so good that I'm not going to spoil in the video itself the main twist of the entire story, because I think in the context of the game and everything you've been doing in it, it's fantastic, just in case you'll play the game. But feel free to ask in the comments and I can spoil it in the reply to you. Though I will say that the overall world-building premise is that we're actually playing as some of the last surviving humans on a long, distant planet of what was once a massive galaxy-spanning human empire that for one reason or another has ceased to exist. And we have rediscovered, well, STARFLIGHT, and are reintegrating ourselves into the larger universe, reestablishing connections with other species, figuring out what's going on, and so on. It's really cool. And once you look at STARFLIGHT not like it's a sandbox, but an adventure where you have to solve a mystery of galactic proportions through the atmospheric RPG-like systems, then it shines in a whole different way. In fact, it shines so bright that I'm going to play STARFLIGHT right underneath Castlevania. As much as I loved the lore and the adventure aspect, at some point I have stopped actually enjoying interacting with the game's systems, and that adoration of the lore and the desire to solve the mystery was the main thing propelling my engagement. So I can't say that I'd feel comfortable putting Starflight above Castlevania, which, while flawed, is a whole holistic package of its own. But also, I value very much an immersive atmosphere which Starflight is chock full of, which is why I do feel comfortable placing it above games like Galaga and Excitebike that one could say implement their gameplay goals better, but those games after playing them didn't leave me thinking what a fucking cool twist they had, and such is also the case with other RPG/adventure games lower in the list like Zelda, Wizardry and Ultima. Starflight has been a very pleasant surprise, and I'm glad to have experienced it.